just a second as well. Okay. Okay, wonderful. So once again, welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar on Costa Rica, brought to you by PuraLuxe, who are a boutique luxury travel company based in Costa Rica that can deliver all of these experiences that I'm going to show to you today and be your luxury partner when it comes to Costa Rica. So the company to start with, let me tell you a little bit of an introduction. So PuraLuxe is a new DMC. It's been created this year by the wonderful Sergio, who has just popped up on your screen there, who is the CEO of Best of Costa Rica, which is a very well-established DMC tour operator within Costa Rica, who has really identified, he's a very visionary person, and he's identified that there is a real need in Costa Rica for those luxury experiences, hence the birth of PuraLuxe. Sergio has been dedicated to tourism for nearly 35 years, I believe now, and his goal and his ambition is to create real transformative experiences for their clients, partners, and guests that come to the country. He brings a passion that is like no other, and I can tell you this from firsthand, and that inspires him and his whole team to really deliver that exceptional experiences for every single person that they work with, and wants to bring the passion of Costa Rica to everybody that comes. So there's a real passion, a real dedication for Costa Rica as a destination that's brought to you from Sergio, but it's installed in every single member of the PuraLuxe team. They are recognized for the need of luxury hospitality, and this is what they bring to you. So today's webinar, what we're going to do, because luxury travelers, most of you are all luxury travel advisors, what today is going to bring to you is a real introduction, reminder, refresher, depending on your knowledge existing already, of Costa Rica as a destination, and how PuraLuxe and the team can create these amazing experiences and these bespoke innovative itineraries for your clients, which makes obviously your life easier, having that expert on hand to deliver that, but also your clients' experiences just to be second to none. So today's webinar is very much about bringing you a real source of information on Costa Rica, which comes from the team. And then obviously we'll go through a little bit more towards the end about how PuraLuxe delivers those experiences to you. So before we go further into any more information, we've put together a video, which is going to just a couple of minutes, just to really start you off in feeling that pura vida Costa Rica. So sit back, enjoy, and relax. Alrighty. I mean, it is so difficult. As any of you who have actually been to Costa Rica will know, it's so difficult to try and capture everything in Costa Rica into a video, but hopefully that gave you an idea. So let me tell you a bit about the background and the location of Costa Rica. So as you can see on the map there, it is bordered by Nicaragua to the north and the Caribbean Sea to the northeast. Panama is on the southeast and the Pacific Ocean to the southwest. Costa Rica is actually not a huge country. It has a population of just around 5 million people, and it is known for its biodiversity and conservation commitments globally. Costa Rica has got a lot of provenance in the worldwide sphere of biodiversity and conservation. Christopher Columbus landed there in 1502, just near the Limon province. And for those of you who don't know, Costa Rica actually means rich coast. I said earlier, it's not a huge country. It only has a population of around 5 million. The country in itself is only 239 kilometers wide, and that's from San Jose to Limon, to the coast to coast. And it takes about 4.5 hours if you're to drive across that. So that's 148 miles for those of you who work in the miles as opposed to kilometers. For the length, from the top to the bottom, the length is 520 or just under 520 kilometers, which would take around 7.5 hours-ish to drive from one end to another. So that's 322 miles. So it's not huge, but it's because you would have seen in that video that I just shared, there is so much in Costa Rica, and every single region, area, province of the country is different and brings very different experiences, different climates, lots of different experiences to your clients. So it's very important to understand, what does all the different areas of Costa Rica bring? There are, just for your information, I can send this all to you later if you need to. There are two main airports in Costa Rica, international. You have Liberia and San Jose. And from the US, because I know a lot of you are joining us from the US today, you've got all the major airlines that fly. So you've got American, Delta, United, JetBlue, Southwest, Spirit, and Alaska, I believe. I think I've got them all. And they come from, and they have direct flights from lots of connecting cities, everywhere from Miami, Atlanta, Newark, JFK. You're looking at also from the other side, you've also got from LAX. Alaska flies directly from LAX to both Liberia and to San Jose. So the point of me telling you that is that there is great connections to the country. So there is absolutely no excuse not to visit this beautiful destination. The climate in Costa Rica, I just mentioned about how different the different areas of the country are. The general climate is tropical warmth all year round. I mean, that's very generic for the whole country. The maximum temperature generally ranges from about 31 degrees, which is 89 degrees Fahrenheit, through to minimum temperature roughly around 22 degrees, which is approximately 73 Fahrenheit. But each side of the country has different climates as well. So when we look at the Pacific side, you have December to April is generally sunny, with the San Juan summer in mid-June. May to October is the wet season, where the rainiest months on the Pacific side would be September and October. And when it rains in the wet season in that May to October period, the rain is mostly in the afternoons and the early evening. April and November are what's known as the transitional months. So that's those months in between those two main seasons, which has a bit of a mixed weather during these periods, and the hottest being in July and August. I feel like I'm reading the weather. Then we go to the Caribbean side. So on the Caribbean side of the country, it's slightly different. November to January, and then May to August is what would be the rainiest time of year. The rainiest months on the Caribbean side would be in July and December. And that's when it rains mostly, as opposed to where we said it was the afternoon and early evening on the Pacific side. On the Caribbean side, when it's in those periods of the slightly wetter season, The rain mostly comes in overnight and early morning, so you still have that beautiful sunshine during the day. February, March, September and October are generally pretty sunny, so they're the best times really for the Caribbean side. So that's your Costa Rica weather report. So now let me tell you a bit about the government and the country itself. So the government has its president, President Rodrigo. He's been in office since 2022 and will be there for 4 years until 26. And it is an independent republic, and it has been since the 15th of September in 1821, when it gained its independence from Spain. It is a multi-party political system, and it is known as being one of the most stable in the region. Because of that, the army was actually abolished in Costa Rica on the 1st of December in 1948. And the budget, very interestingly, the budget that the country previously allocated to the army was then redistributed and is now dedicated to providing healthcare and services, healthcare services and education to the country. So the Costa Rican population are some of the most educated in the area. They have the best services and they really are well looked after, which really brings to that pura vida lifestyle. So talking about the country's economy, tourism is actually about 20% of the GDP as of last year. And the country itself has lots of fertile lands, strong agricultural business. They have pineapple, banana, coffee, palm oil. There's a whole array of exports that they have. They are actually known as the #1 exporter of pineapple in the world. When you're driving through Costa Rica, you can see all these fields. And I remember last time I was there, I was driving through and Marco, who was our fabulous host on our journey, I kept on saying to him, what are those? And they're all pineapple everywhere. It's amazing. They're also the #1 exporter or provider of roots and tubers to the US market as well. The currency in Costa Rica is the colon, and it has been since 1896 when it replaced the peso. And the conversion, this was as of last month, it's $1 to 563. So you feel very, very rich when you've got these notes of 1,000, 20,000 in your hand. But as I say, the conversion is 1 to 563. However, although that is the local currency, US dollars are widely accepted everywhere. And as I just mentioned, the denomination of the notes come from 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 and 20,000 notes. So as I say, you can quite often have 60, 70,000 in your hand in notes and makes you feel very rich. So let's go into talking about the country and those distinctive areas that I mentioned to you. So there's 7 distinct provinces within Costa Rica, and I'm going to go through all of them today with you. There is a lot of information in this presentation. I'm going to pull out some highlights to you. And first of all, I want to apologize for my pronunciation. Any of you Spanish speakers who have joined us today, I do sincerely apologize. My Spanish isn't the best, but I'm hoping you'll still get all the information. So going through the different provinces, we start off with Guanacaste, then we work around, and you can see there's 7 distinct provinces around. You've got in the northwest Pacific side, Guanacaste, Alajuela in the Caribbean side, Heredia, Cartago, which is actually the smallest province, which is very cute, which we'll come to later, San Jose, the capital, Lima, which is the largest on the Caribbean coast, and Punta Arenas on the Pacific side, which is covering all that large area from the bottom all the way along the side of the Pacific. So let's go through each of them and what they're known for. So let's start with Guanacaste. It's one of the most popular regions which we're looking at in Costa Rica. It's on the Pacific side of the country and it borders Nicaragua. And what we're going to do in each of these different regions, we're going to highlight to you some of the featured destinations that you can find in this area. So this is not to say this is everything, but these are a few highlights which particularly the team at PuraLuxe wanted to point out, which really can deliver some fantastic, immersive and different experiences in Costa Rica. So when we look at the different areas, there are different types of climates, terrains within. So we start off at the top with the Gulf of Papiayo. Then we go down to the various beaches along the side, and then ending up further in the south with Punta Islita. And we're going to give you a bit more information on each of those in a second. So as I said, it's on the North Pacific side and it borders Nicaragua. It's got beautiful beaches. It's known as a surfing paradise. There's lots of areas, Tamarindo, for example, really known for their surfing. Unique climate with rich biodiversity and such an array of flora and fauna. And you're going to hear that a lot because that's Costa Rica. The other highlight of this is that it is a blue zone, which is absolutely fascinating, and it's a prime scuba diving destination. This is also the area that the Liberia International Airport is located. So talking about that first destination, which is right at the top of the Guanacaste region on the peninsula, great for activities on the ocean, sailing, catamarans, yachts, charters. On land, you also have world-class golf courses, not just golf courses, world-class golf courses. You have the Arnold Palmer Golf Course at the Four Seasons. You have the Robert Trent Jones II course at Hacienda. So there's a selection of the golfing. So if you have any clients that are keen golfers, this is a great area to go to. Also has amazing restaurants, fantastic seafood. And when you look down, further down, going into the beaches as well, you also have in Concho, you have a white shell beach, which is made up of millions of tiny little crushed shells, which makes the sand have this pristine, vibrant white appearance, which is really quite remarkable. Beachfront bars and restaurants, kayaking, paddleboarding, snorkeling, and also, as you can tell from this photo in the background there, lots of whales and dolphin watching. You're on the Pacific side and you can see the migrations going through. So it's a great destination to see that wildlife. Going further down, if you remember the map, so we're just going to go a little bit further down from the peninsula. You have Tamarindo, very popular tourist area, great for surfing. It really is a true surfer's paradise. National Marine Park there, which is a great area, which has got a protected area for turtle nesting. You can actually have guided tours to see the leatherback turtles, and the nesting season on the Pacific side is actually different to the nesting season on the Caribbean side. So for here, it's between October and February. Then going further down, you have Samara Beach. They also have the turtle nesting and the wildlife refuge. Whale and dolphin are watching from here. Punta Islita in the Nicoya Peninsula, and this is quite fascinating. It's actually a blue zone. So it's a blue zone, for those of you who aren't entirely sure, because I had somebody ask me this the other day. A blue zone is a dedicated area that is known for the longevity of its citizens' lives. So they have a high concentration of centenarians. So the unique lifestyle and environment that contributes to long life. Culture, art museums, local artists are exhibiting in the Punta Islita museums, and you can even have cooking classes, so get some experience of that fresh Costa Rican cooking with those local ingredients. So when we move further down, we've got the next province along, which is Alajuela. And apologies again if I'm pronouncing them slightly wrong. So there's several areas in here, and this has got the different terrain in this area. You can see that we've got a jungle for Gogotapada. Then we go down to the volcanic region, where you have the mountainous, where the volcano is. Going further down, moving around, you can then see we have the jungle area and the river area. And then finally, the two other areas that we highlight in this region are also volcanic. So the Poas and the Arenal, which you may have heard of, though they're quite famous. Climate in this area is humid with frequent rain. It is inland, most of it. It is jungle, mixed between jungle and mountains. And it's about a 4-hour drive from San Jose itself, to the outside part anyway. So starting with Boca Tapada, it's about 2.5 hours drive from San Jose, and this is a jungle area towards the Caribbean coastline, which is great for wildlife, nature, bird watching. It has an eco preserve, rich with biodiversity, fantastic for photography in this region. So if you're looking for that ecological photography, great area. Lots of waterfalls, nature hikes, canoe and kayak tours. And then further down, we've then got the volcano and the Celeste River. This is about an hour and a half from Liberia, about 3.5 hours from San Jose. So it's slightly further along. So the Rio Celeste is actually a natural phenomenon, which is the water creates this amazing turquoise colors by mixing different minerals from the two rivers, where two rivers meet, and they've both got different levels of minerals in the water. So when they mix, and you can almost see the water changing before your eyes as you're watching the two rivers merge together. It's quite spectacular. I don't think there's many places in the world where you can see something as amazing as that. It is then also a volcanic region. So there's the hikes, you have the hot springs, adventure, you can go on horse riding, tubing, canopy tours. Again, lots of different places. You'll also see on the slides, we've just highlighted just one property per area which PuraLuxe work with. That doesn't mean to say this is the only hotel that they work with. So for example, here we have the Rio Celeste Hideaway Hotel. Great place to stay, but the team at PuraLuxe will work with you to make sure that whichever property they recommend is really a good fit for your clients and the experiences that they actually want to experience and see. And don't forget, PuraLuxe is all about luxury. So you're going to get the best of the best with these guys. And then we move on to Arenal. Arenal is in the middle of Costa Rica. It's about 2.5 hours from Liberia or San Jose, sort of like in the middle of the two. It has probably the most imposing volcano silhouette that you'll see. It's very much the icon of Costa Rica. You can see this photo on much of the publicity, and it's very recognizable as Costa Rica. Around the Arenal volcano, you have the La Fortuna town and waterfalls, the amazing hot springs, and then you can almost see it in this photo. You can see, well, not almost, you can see it in this photo as well, where you have the Arenal Lake. And your guests, your clients can experience water sports, fishing, and it goes all around the base of the volcano. When I was in Costa Rica, we actually drove from La Fortuna and all that area all around the actual lake itself. You can cross it in other ways, but we drove all the way around, and it was just such a beautiful, beautiful part of the country. Shout out to Nayara Resort here, great property, which is just right by the springs. But there's lots and lots to do in this, a very, very popular area. And then we have the Poas volcano. So going down through the volcanoes here, it's about 30 minutes. It's a bit nearer to San Jose, this one. It's about 30 minutes from San Jose, about 3.5 hours from Liberia. And it's one of the most famous volcanoes. It's got this, you can see in the inset photo there, the largest active crater. And surrounded, like I said, with Arenal, surrounded with waterfalls, where there's also butterfly gardens around here. You have the Doca Estate, which is one of Costa Rica's most famous coffee plantations. So lots and lots to explore. And then we also, the last highlight area of this province is going to be the Cananigua, which is about 4 hours from San Jose, about 3.5 from Liberia. A great wildlife refuge. It's really the heart of the area. It protects Costa Rica's most important wetlands, so it's very, very important for the ecosystems. Great for bird watching, photography, etc. in this area. So moving on to the next area, we're now looking at this little sliver of the province over on the Caribbean side, which is Heredia. And there's one key area in this region, which is the Sarapiquí, which is a very jungle terrain with a tropical climate, humid, as with most places. and it's right in that sort of central of that, the central Caribbean area. And this area is about 25 minutes from San Jose, so not far at all. Obviously, a little bit further from Liberia, just to give you an idea of where people are coming into. But it is one of the largest and the most biodiverse national parks the country has. And the region has a vast amount of wildlife, the rainforest terrain. I mean, you can see that photos of the rivers there, the wildlife. They have a biological reserve, where you can have guided walks on the suspension bridges, the jungle trails, and of course, the river whitewater rafting that goes through this region. Then we move into the smallest of the provinces, which is Cartago, right in the middle, totally landlocked, but it doesn't make it any less spectacular not having a coast. The volcano, going through here, what's in this region, so a bit of a mix again. So we've got the volcano region, the valley, and then we look at the, I'm going to say this wrong, I'm sure, but Turrialba area as well, which actually I was speaking to somebody who actually comes from there the other day, so very interesting. Generally, as I've mentioned before, the climate is tropical and humid, but it is a mountainous region, and it also houses the highest point in Costa Rica, so right in the center. But it is the smallest provinces, but it's very rich in the Spanish heritage. So lots of cultural buildings, traditions that you can really experience in Cartago. The volcano, this is where the highest point in Costa Rica. It's got lots of mountain biking. Somebody actually said to me, the mountain bike trails, they've got very, very different ability levels of mountain biking here. And somebody said to me, there's some trails that you really only want to be very experienced for. So if you have some hardcore adventure clients that love the mountain biking, this is a great area. They've also got strawberry farms here, which was quite interesting. So you can go and pick the delicious fresh strawberries, or if you're not into the mountain biking, there's lots of walks and hiking around here as well. The valley, hot springs, perfect place for a day of relaxation. The national park, again, great for hiking and bird watching. The colonial church of Orisi, apologies if I've said that wrong. The colonial church, one of the oldest churches in Costa Rica, and I believe it dates back to the 18th century. And it's got an adjacent museum, so you can really learn about that colonial history. And then when you go a bit further down, you have the river, which is also the home to the Pequari River rafting, which when I was there just over a month or two ago, we went along there. Amazing whitewater rafting. They've got rapids from class 2 to 5. And again, another shout out to one of my favourite properties that I personally stayed in, and that's the Pequari Lodge. You can only get to it by whitewater rafting or through zip line. It's amazing. Real beautiful experience, but there's lots of properties and lots of partners that PuraLuxe works with in this region. So now we move on to the capital, so San Jose, which is the capital city. I mean, as you can see, the photo on this screen is very different to every other one that we've shown you. It's very built up. It is the city landscape, and the main city is right in the center of the country there. It's the cultural center with lots of museums, theatre. Of course, the international airport is here, and on the outskirts, you can also have a lot of natural environments. Everywhere in Costa Rica has this. So even though you're in the city, you can also have the hiking, waterfalls, all within a stone's throw of the city. Lots of culinary options and lots of things to do within San Jose itself. I mentioned just now the cultural side. They've got the National Theatre, where they have a great program of cultural performances and really learn about the cultural evolution within Costa Rica. Again, there's lots of things to do, just a couple to highlight. The Golden Jade Museums. The Jade Museum actually has the largest collection of American jade in the world. So it's something special to see. The Centauro Market as well. Everything from spices and souvenirs to local crafts and real hidden gems that you can go and explore. It's a great walk around if you have the chance. And it's, again, like the rest of the country, it's very diverse. The districts range from really trendy areas to really cultural. So it's worth exploring the Costa Rican San Jose city life, as well as all the natural beauty that the country has to offer. So now we move around to the largest province on the Caribbean side. So this is Limon. I mentioned earlier, because it was just off of this province that Christopher Columbus landed in the country in the 1800s. So this area, we've got three different regions or highlights that we want to bring to you today. And when we look at them, again, different types of terrain. So we have the Puerto Viejo and the Cajita beaches, the Guasimo Mountains, and Tortuguero, which again is a very popular tourist beach area. It's the largest stretch along the Caribbean coast, as I mentioned, and they've got vast areas of protected lands and national parks along here. Real vibrant Caribbean atmosphere with dense jungles, mountains, beaches. But because of that Caribbean atmosphere, you've also got a lot of cultural influences from the Afro-Caribbean, with coconut-based cuisines, the music, the calypso music. So it's a real difference for the Pacific side of the country. So starting off with the Puerto Viejo and Cajita, it's about 4 hours from San Jose and about 7 hours from Liberia. Southern Caribbean area with real different variety of beaches. They've actually got the Black Beach here, which is all volcanic sand, but then they also have some of the most golden sands as well, with the various different beaches that you have along that Caribbean coastline. Wildlife, again, natural wildlife refuges. They've also got a jaguar rescue centre here. And then we have Tortuguero, very popular tourist area. It's famous for the canals. You can see the photo in the background. Such a beautiful area. Lots of mangroves and lots of the canals area to explore. Famous for the canals and the lagoons that you can just venture out into, whether that be through kayaks or the boat tours, lots of different ways. They're also known for the turtle nesting. So I mentioned earlier about the Pacific turtle nesting. On the Caribbean side, the turtle nesting season is more for the green turtles as opposed to the Pacific turtles, which are the more the hawksbill, sorry. And the green turtles nesting on the Caribbean side, so if you've got anybody wanting to see that, is really from July to October. Lots of wildlife, the howler monkeys, the birds. Sometimes you might even be lucky enough to see the manatees. So there's lots and lots of different things to see in this area, which is probably why it's such a popular tourist area. Also taste the local life, the actual village itself, and the restaurants and souvenir shops. It's a great place to explore and just have a wander around. Guasimo, which is again another amazing area just to explore, much more natural, horseback riding, night walks in the rainforest, hiking, canyoning, rappelling. So there's lots of adventure to go on in this region. And then we come to the last area. So the last, which is actually the biggest. So this is the largest region in Costa Rica, which covers pretty much most of the Pacific coastline. So in this is a couple of my favorite areas, which I'll talk about as we go through. But in here you have Monteverde, which is a very mountainous, Yaco Beach, jungle, the Nicoya Peninsula, which is very special, which I will tell you about as we come to it. Manuel Antonio is a very popular tourist region in the jungle. Corcovado National Park, which is again jungle, and then we have the Osa Peninsula, which is a coastal area right down in the bottom of the region there, not far from the Panama border. So the climate here is again tropical and often humid. It is the largest province, as I mentioned, but it has got some of the strongest biodiversity hotspots for ecotourism in the country. And there's a couple of very key things globally as well, which I will come to as we go through. The terrain, as you can see, ranges from mountains, jungle, beaches, so it's very, very different. Covers a large area as well. So I'm going to start off by talking to you about Monteverde. I have to say this was probably one of my favorite areas in Costa Rica when I personally went. I also know that it's also one of Sergio, who's the CEO of PuraLuxe, and it was one of his favorite areas as well. And there's a reason for that. It is such a special area. You may have heard of the cloud forests. So the Monteverde cloud forest is an amazing ecosystem where you are literally in and out of the clouds. It's really quite spectacular. It actually has an elevation of about 1,500 to 1,800 meters above, meters above sea level, which is about 4,900 to 5,900 feet above sea level. And there's lots of hiking, night walks, zip lines, suspension bridges. I actually did the zip line there. Just a quick story for you. I actually did the zip lines up at in the Monteverde cloud forest, and it is just, I've done zip lining in many places around the world, but this was just so different. You are literally going on a zip line and you can't see the end of it. You're above the clouds, you're in the clouds. So you're zooming into the clouds and you have no idea where you're going to end up. It's just something really quite special. Apart from being in the clouds, the biodiversity, the ecosystems, they have butterfly and orchid gardens. The orchid gardens actually Monteverde has the highest concentration of orchids in the world. So if you like orchids, it's the place to go. There's over 1,400 species, and 500 of those orchids can only be found in the Costa Rican cloud forest. So fun fact for you there. Special mention to Glamping. I stayed there when I was visiting Costa Rica, and it is just something, again, really, really special. The photo you can see in the background there is actually the San Lucas restaurant, which is dining in the trees. You're in these glass cubes and you're literally suspended into the cloud forest, and it is just a spectacular experience, whether you're just dining at the San Lucas restaurant or whether or not you're actually staying at the Glamping, which are amazing domes just looking out over the vastness of the cloud forest. It's really, really, really special place. Okay, so now you've heard my love for Monteverde. Moving on to Yaco Beach. Great place for the terrain, for the ATV tours, across the rivers, climb the mountains. Great for adventure. So you've got your adrenaline junkies. This is a great place to go. Canopies, zip lines, and they've also got a lot of nightlife. So there's lively bars, restaurants, live music. So there's lots of things to do. And if any of your clients or yourself, if you're visiting, take a riverboat tour. You might even be lucky enough to see the crocodiles in the river, but just don't try feeding them. It's not good. So again, this is the great start to this region. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't click through to Yaco Beach quick enough. There you go. That I was just talking about. So then we move over to the Nicoya Peninsula. And again, this is a very popular area and so much to do. And it's a very special area because this is also a blue zone. And as I mentioned earlier, the blue zone is, there's actually only 5 blue zones in the world. And they're in Costa Rica, Italy, Greece, California, and Japan. And Costa Rica in the Nicoya Peninsula has again, a bit I mentioned earlier about the exceptionally long lives, so they live beyond 80. The average life expectancy in Nicoya is over 80 years. So to give you some perspective, in the US, the average life expectancy is only 72.4 years. So they apparently have lots of secrets to it. It's a lot to do with the lifestyle. But they also have the highest concentration rate of calcium in their water, which apparently lowers the risk of heart disease and stronger bones. So great place to go for really rejuvenation and living that pure vida lifestyle. It's got some of the oldest towns in Costa Rica. And it's great for wellness, yoga, retreats, workshops. Many of the hotels and resorts offer wellness workshops and retreats, or just simply going because of the nature of the Nicoya Peninsula being all about well-being and living your best life. So it's a great, interesting place to be. And then we move on to the Manuel Antonio area. So this area is, again, a very popular area within this region on that Pacific. This is more Central Pacific as opposed to South Pacific. And this has got a blend of rainforests and beaches all merging together to create this region. As I said, very popular tourist region. The national park has hikes. You can see the howler monkeys, sloths, iguanas. So lots of different things going on in this area. Great for adventure. I mentioned earlier, you've got the ATV tours, zip lines, hanging bridges, night walks. Again, so much to do, as well as the nature beaches and waterfalls that's in the Manuel Antonio area. So then we move on to the last highlighted destination, and this is the Corcovado National Park, which is in the South Pacific region. So we're going back down that coastline now. To get here, and this is the same for the Osa Peninsula as well, which we'll talk about. To get here, you actually get a domestic flight down to the Drake Bay Airport, which is about 45 minutes from San Jose. You can drive it, it's about 8 hours. They can also arrange, the team at PuraLuxe can also arrange private transfers, or obviously arranging the logistics of that domestic flight, depending on where your clients are beforehand. But it's certainly worth the effort to go and see. This national park is the only tropical primary lowland rainforest in the world, which makes it one of the most amazing attractions in Costa Rica. There's actually 41,000 hectares, which is just over 100,000 acres, where you can see different species of mammals. I think there's 140 different species of mammals, 400 species of birds, 116 species of reptiles and amphibians, fish, sea turtles, and there's about 500 different species, do you call them species? Species of trees as well, and that's all in this national park. You can also see things like the traditional, which is very iconic of Costa Rica, the red-eyed treed frog, the tapirs, jaguars, howler monkeys, sloths. I could keep naming all the animals, but they're all here in this national park, so it's certainly worth a visit. And then you have the Osa Peninsula, which actually National Geographic magazine actually called the Osa Peninsula one of the most biologically intense places on Earth. And the reason for that is it has a variety of different ecosystems due to the change of the elevations. So of rainfall, so you have different rainfalls and temperatures all in that one territory. There's something like 250,000 species of wildlife. It actually has the largest population of jaguars in Costa Rica just in this one area. There's 323 species of endemic plants and animals that cannot be found anywhere else in the world apart from in this area. So that's part of the reason why the National Geographic has held it in such high regard. So again, it is a very popular area. It's certainly somewhere that's worth taking the time to visit. So hopefully that's now giving you a brief, but hopefully exciting introduction to Costa Rica. And now what I'd like to do is tell you a bit more about PuraLuxe. So PuraLuxe is a boutique luxury travel company based in Costa Rica that can deliver all of these amazing experiences that I've just been talking to you about. These guys can make it happen. They're dedicated to planning every single trip with the utmost care, attention to detail, getting the right experiences for your clients. They also want to make sure that they're providing that luxury experience. So it's high-end services while remaining committed to that sustainability. We've just talked a lot about sustainability in Costa Rica. So that's very important in the values of PuraLuxe. And their ultimate goal is to be the most trusted DMC in Costa Rica, which really helps create that unparalleled exclusive experience for clients. And there's several reasons why you should choose working with them. So PuraLuxe is all about personalized experiences where everything is tailor-made to your clients. So yes, they do have sample itineraries, which we'll talk about in a second, but it's all about making sure that the experience and the journey in Costa Rica matches your clients. They will provide recommendations as opposed to off-the-shelf package type vacations. It's all about personalization. And the attention to details. Planning a trip in Costa Rica is not always easy. Logistics, locations, terrain, what's the roads like? Knowing that inside knowledge, that attention to detail is so important. So these guys take care of the little things, the accommodation, the transfers, the experiences. It's everything. They will look after you and your clients with the utmost of attention to detail to make sure nothing's missed, everything's covered. Exclusive access. So with luxury travel, often your clients are going to want to know something out of the ordinary, wanting something exclusive. So this could be anything from recommending those hidden gems that are not always available, making sure that they always feel valued and that there is that sense of exclusivity to the programs and itineraries that they create. Expert guidance. I've talked to you a few times about their experience. Obviously, so it comes from the top with Sergio and his amazing passion and experience for tourism in Costa Rica. But the whole team really have got that knowledge, which are dedicated with deep knowledge of Costa Rica, the geography, and they have invaluable information and guidance that they can provide you when you're planning your clients' trips to Costa Rica. And all of that leads to stress-free planning because, as I said earlier, it's not always easy trying to plan everything for clients coming to Costa Rica. So stress-free planning is important. Complex planning, you might have multi-generational clients wanting different things. Looking at the different logistics of how to get them from A to B or from this side of the country to another side, and working it all out for you. These guys are the experts, so they will make sure there's easy planning for both you and, of course, your clients. And then finally, it's all about luxury. So it's knowing those best places to go, how to get them, how to make sure your clients are treated as those VIP clients that you obviously want them to have. I mentioned just now about these sample itineraries. We do have them available on the website, so you can have a look at the PuraLuxe website, which will come up on the screen in a second. But as I say, these are just guidelines. You can say you want to take that 7-night sample itinerary and they can make it happen, or you can look at this and get inspiration on various ideas and use that as a starting point, and then everything can be tailor-made, bespoke to your individual clients. So now, thank you so much for your time. That has been an hour on Costa Rica and PuraLuxe, and really we want to make sure that you have that perfect partner in PuraLuxe that's going to deliver everything that you and your clients need in Costa Rica. They truly are the experts in the destination. So I'm going to put the contact details up, and I've had some questions that's just popped in. So give me 1 second and I will just come to them and try and get those answered for you. So just 1 second. Okay. So Andrea, hi, great to see you again. Thank you for joining. Absolutely, yes, you will get copies of the webinar sent to you, and if there's anything in particular you want from the slides, we can also send them over to you as well. Just drop me a note separately, and I can get whatever materials you need. What I will also do in the follow-up to this session is I'll also do an introduction to Marco, who's the commercial director of the PuraLuxe team, who is absolutely fabulous. He was my host when I was there, and he's amazing. So I will do a personal introduction to all of you, to him and the team, so you can have direct questions to them. And then they obviously can liaise with you directly. But any other information, support, Andrew, as you say, I'm always here, and the team's always here for you as well. So yes, with regards to Agent rates, if any of you, we highly, highly, highly recommend you come and experience Costa Rica. So if you haven't visited the destination, if you haven't seen it for yourself firsthand, but you're sending all your clients to Costa Rica, go. Make sure you go yourself. The team at PuraLuxe, whilst obviously they're here to create those packages and those itineraries for your clients, they are also wanting to encourage you to come and see it yourself as well and see that real, true PuraLuxe experience. So yes, we can organise travel agent rates. We can try and get some discounts. They do work on the commissions as well. So all of that is part of the journey that they have. So we can work with all the properties. If you're Virtuoso affiliated, they work with all the Virtuoso properties. You'll make sure your clients will get the same commission. You'll get the commission, the amenities, everything all still works the same. They're just here to make sure that it all happens, create those personalized itineraries for you. Okay, so yes, if you're looking at visiting, bear in mind the peak and off-peak times makes life easier. But yes, they can look at travel agent rates and they can look at making sure they have great opportunities for you to experience the PuraLuxe experience. Okay, so James, yes, the VIP experiences can be arranged. Your particular question about the VIP arrival, it can be arranged. There obviously is charges for it, but there's like a fast track that they can do, which I think is several $100s, or they can just do a meet and greet and escorting. I mean, the San Jose airport's not complicated, but it is nice, that luxury experience, to be able to actually have that direct sort of escort through from the airplane doors all the way down to their transfers, or even through the hotel. So all of that could be part of the itineraries that get planned. Yes, they do private transfers. So they have their vehicles and they can arrange all the private transfers. So they're, as you put it, not in the group minibuses going across the mountains. Private transfers can be arranged. Whether or not they're organising flights and things like that. If they're going from the north to the south, that can also be arranged. So yeah, all the transfers are done however you're wanting your clients to experience it, whether that be by private, shared, or however. So all of that can be arranged. This is what these guys do. Yes, as I mentioned, they do work with all the Virtuoso properties. Commission rates vary depending on obviously which of the properties they are. There's not a set standard. But yes, they are available. And for Virtuoso, obviously you have the amenities. For other non-affiliated agents, obviously they will always make sure that they're looking after your clients, making sure that everybody everybody who books through PuraLuxe gets that VIP treatment. Everybody is taken care of as a VIP. Everybody is looked after, definitely. Okay. Any more questions? Great. Okay, well, as I said, thank you. Sorry, another question just coming from Andrea. Yes, groups are absolutely fine. So they also work with groups. I mentioned earlier about multi-generational families, but if you've got a group, absolutely. One of the things that the team at PuraLuxe are more than happy to do is help sort of provide itineraries for groups, whether it be girlfriends, families, special occasions, whatever it may be. Absolutely, they can certainly arrange groups, no problem at all. I'll just give it another second in case there's any other questions that come in. All right, well, I will connect after this session. I will send you a copy of the webinar so you all have a reference guide to refer back to. Then you will also get an introduction to the team at PuraLuxe. They will also be more than happy to, along with myself and my team. At Hummingbird, we're all more than happy to help you. We're all here to make your life easier, make sure you're all well connected, and ultimately your clients get to experience that amazing Costa Rica adventure. So thank you all once again for joining us today. It really was a pleasure sharing the beautiful country of Costa Rica. giving you the insights and introduction to the brand new DMC looking after luxury clients in Costa Rica, which is the fabulous PuraLuxe. Any questions at all, please do let us know. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you again, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye.